All right, you've had a little practice with square roots and cube roots. And when we looked at square roots, I'm sorry, that's a very messy radical sign. Let me go back up. When we deal with square roots, let's say it's the square root of 25, we get 5. When we look at the cube root of maybe 64, we get 4. When we look at the square root of x to the 8th, we cut the exponent in half, which really is taking the index and dividing it into the exponent. And if we take the cube root of x to the 12th, 3 goes into 12 4 times, so it is also x to the 4th. Well, there is some other notation that is very, very useful as you move into higher mathematics. The square root of x can be written in with what's called rational exponent notation, and it is x to the 1/2 power. Square root translates into 1/2 power. If you have x, the cube root of x, that translates into the 1/3 power. Now, although we're not going to do a whole lot with it, if you have the b root of x to the a, in other words, if there's an exponent in there and there is an index out there, that is x to the a divided by b. We know that we divide the index into it. In rational exponent form, it is x to the a over b. Now, we're primarily going to stick with these, but if you had the cube root of x squared, that's the same as x to the 2 over 3. This is rational exponent notation. Rational exponents mean you're taking roots. All right, number 1. Use radical notation to rewrite the expression. All right, if it's raising it to the 1/2 power, then it's square root. That's the square root of 169. Then it says, select the answer below, and we are supposed to, hold on. We're supposed to simplify your answer. In other words, if this is a perfect square, then take its square root. So you're not going to put square root of 169. You need to think it, but you need to take its square root, which is 13. All right. The next one, to the 1/2 power. That means square root of 324. If you have your calculator, you can use that. If you need to, you can go back to the chart. 324, is that a perfect square? Yes, it's in the x squared column. Its square root is 18. So this is equal to 18. If they give you one that is not a perfect square, then you're just going to leave it under the radical sign. All right, the next one, 1/2 power, it means square root. So this is the square root of 36x to the 4th. It all goes under the radical. Remember, the 2 is implied. Now, simplify if you can. What's the square root of 36? 6. What's the square root of x to the 4th? X to the 2nd. And we're done. Okay, and the last one says 1/3 power. That means cube root. And the radicand is the number in parentheses being raised. Can we take a cube root of a negative radicand? The answer is yes. We get a negative answer. The cube root of 125, look it up or use your calculator if you need to. It is 5. So this is equal to -5. It's important in higher math that you be able to switch between rational exponents and radical notation. There are certain things easier to do in this format. There are other things easier to do in this format. So you want to be able to switch back and forth, and you are getting just the first exposure to that.